Welcome to the Alt History channel. If you are passionate about a world where history takes unexpected turns, then you have come to the right place. Before we dive into our next fascinating story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click on like to support us. Are you ready to embark on an amazing journey where history has taken a completely different turn? Then let's get started. In the real story, the Titanic sank after colliding with an iceberg on the night of April 15, 1912. This catastrophic incident resulted in the deaths of more than 1,500 people. It became one of the largest and most tragic shipwrecks in history. Imagine that in this alternate reality, the Titanic avoids colliding with an iceberg. He successfully completes his journey, reaches his destination, and the passengers and crew disembark from the ship in New York. This course of events changes the course of history. In real history, many people died and many lost their loved ones. In an alternate reality, these people are alive and continuing their lives. However, many of them have experienced injuries and losses that would leave a mark on their lives. The Titanic disaster led to a tightening of maritime regulations and safety regulations. In an alternate reality, perhaps these measures would not have been introduced so quickly, and other ships might have faced similar problems. The sunken Titanic left an indescribable impact on history and culture. In an alternate reality, this influence would be significantly different, and many events and books related to the Titanic would not exist. In real history, after the sinking of the Titanic, changes were made to the laws on maritime safety and standards for the construction of ships. These measures have contributed to improving the safety of passengers and crew at sea. However, in an alternate reality, these changes would not have been made so quickly or would have been postponed altogether. Perhaps this could have led to other shipwrecks and a higher degree of danger in sailing. In real history, the tragedy of the Titanic had a profound impact on culture. This event has become a source of inspiration for many films, books, and studies. In an alternate reality, this story would not exist, and perhaps some famous works of art and literature would be impossible. The Titanic disaster stimulated the improvement of technology in the field of navigation and safety. This included the development of more advanced radio communication and maritime navigation systems. In an alternate reality where the Titanic did not sink, these technical improvements could have been slowed down, which in turn could have affected the safety of other ships and voyages. In real history, the death of the Titanic affected insurance companies and the economy. A huge amount of insurance compensation was paid, and this caused changes in insurance practices. In an alternate reality where the Titanic did not sink, the economic landscape could have been different without significant payments and a review of insurance policies. The story, "What if the Titanic hadn't sunk?" It reminds us of the fragility of our reality and how one random event can change the course of history. It shows that even the largest and most significant events can be subject to accidents. The Titanic disaster was a lesson in maritime safety and technological innovation. She also left a deep mark on the cultural heritage. In an alternate reality where the Titanic did not sink, all these changes and influences could have been different, and the world we know today could have looked very different. The story of the Titanic reminds us that our decisions and random events can shape the future, and every action has consequences. It inspires us to think about how we can use the lessons of the past to build a secure and prosperous future. In the coolness of the sea on an April night in 1912, the Titanic, the giant of the oceans, sails calmly in the dark. However, in this version of the story, the ice block remains unnoticed, and the ship continues its journey safely. Among the passengers are aristocrats, dreamers, adventurers, each with their own hope for a new life in America. After the successful arrival in New York, the passengers of the Titanic disperse around the world, contributing to history. We follow some of them, from an ambitious businessman building his empire in America, to a young artist whose works will inspire generations. The Titanic remains a symbol of unsinkability, causing excessive complacency in the maritime industry. This leads to a delay in the implementation of strict maritime safety measures, which in turn leads to other tragic events in maritime history. The story of the Titanic and its passengers becomes the inspiration for numerous books, films, and plays. However, without the tragedy, these works have a completely different tone and plot, focused on the triumph of the human spirit and technology. Some of the Titanic's passengers are influencing the political scene. In the United States and Europe, their influence is changing the course of some key events, including the First World War and the formation of international relations. The past century with the Titanic, which did not touch the bottom of the Atlantic, but left a deep mark on history, makes us think about the fragility of fate and the role of chance in the life of mankind. The story is still full of unsolved mysteries and unexpected twists. The rescue of the Titanic stimulates the development of ocean engineering and technology. In the following decades, ships become bigger and safer, thanks to the lessons learned from this journey. This technological breakthrough also leads to the accelerated development of aviation and the automotive industry. The Titanic remains a muse for artists and writers, but now as a symbol of wonder and hope. Works based on the real stories of passengers appear in literature and cinema, each of which tells about dreams and ambitions realized thanks to a successful journey. The successful voyage of the Titanic also has an impact on public consciousness, especially with regard to class differences. Rich and poor passengers traveling side by side become a symbol of social unity, which promotes reflections on social justice and equality. There were several famous scientists and inventors of that time on board the Titanic. Their further achievements and the cooperation possible due to their rescue led to new scientific discoveries, including in the field of marine biology and astronomy. The Titanic is becoming a symbol of international cooperation and peace. Meetings on board between representatives of different nations contribute to the strengthening of diplomatic ties and the development of international trade cooperation. The final chapter assesses the long-term impact of the Titanic on world history, from its influence on art and culture to technological and scientific breakthroughs. The Titanic remains an eternal symbol of the human spirit, the ability to overcome obstacles, and the desire for discovery. The story, "What if the Titanic hadn't sunk?" It reminds us of the fragility of our reality and how one random event can change the course of history. It shows that even the largest and most significant events can be subject to accidents. In real history, the Titanic disaster has become a lesson in maritime safety and technological innovation. She also left a deep mark on the cultural heritage. In an alternate reality where the Titanic did not sink, all these changes and influences could have been different, and the world we know today could have looked very different. The story of the Titanic reminds us that our decisions and random events can shape the future, and every action has consequences. It inspires us to think about how we can use the lessons of the past to build a secure and prosperous future. Thanks for watching. Write in the comments, would you like to live in such an alternative story? Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. There are a lot more interesting videos on my channel.